Alright, so Facebook won't let me apparently make videos. Now, there's a lot of important stuff to think about here. Like, it's not illegal to have more than one Facebook account. Another thing is, just because it's against Facebook rules doesn't mean it's against the law. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to defend myself in a court of law. I wasn't allowed to defend myself in a court of law. I wasn't allowed to go to a court of law. From January to August, I went to every single court date that I had. It ate every penny that I had. And the whole time I was being harassed by a bunch of crazy web wingnuts. A bunch of people in Natalie Bollinger groups who don't care about the truth. They're too busy trying to destroy it. They destroy anything that doesn't fit their description of me. Natalie's family has put me through 2 years of hell. Now, another thing to be said, Christianity. I know so many people who are Christians, they're complacent. They're liars. They don't think about others. They're too busy talking about God. Well, unfortunately, there's people like Graham. Graham isn't a bad person, he's just an idiot. Know who's good to you and be good to them. Just because he's an idiot doesn't make him a bad person. Unfortunately, him being an idiot who doesn't keep his word has screwed me severely. With trying to make a report about Alicia and her father harassing me at my grandmother's funeral, Graham basically went out there and presented a case where he's basically, to this officer, this is just a crazy dude who's wanting somebody to talk to. That was not the issue. But that officer was too busy with his own stuff, his own internal monologue, and kept on interrupting me while I was trying to explain what was going on. So I'm trying my best to answer this officer's questions. Meanwhile, he's asking questions all over the place where he should be listening. That's not the first issue that I had with Graham, though. It wasn't the last issue that I had with Graham. For the whole last 5 weeks or so, I've been waiting on Graham to send something. Well, let's step back a little bit in time. When I got out of jail, Graham said that for some tools that I had, he would give me $100. That $100 would have made it so that I could get my vehicle out and go to my appointments. Payday came around, all he had to give me was $40. That screwed me entirely. That made it so that I couldn't get my vehicle out, and I couldn't go to my appointments. So, I used the money that I had to get out of state, to get somewhere safe where I could at least collect that information, and Graham was supposed to send it to me in a week. Unfortunately, he didn't send it to me in a week. It's been almost 6 weeks now, and it's still not here. Meanwhile, all of my money that I had to live on here, to work on that stuff, it's all gone. I don't have any money. I have no income coming in. Now, I should have been allowed to go to court. There should have been charges brought against the Bollingers, the entire family, for what they've done. Now, there's hundreds of people that have seen the harassment, threats, and intimidation that's gone on just alone in the Facebook groups. But, unlike the crazies that the Bollingers have working with them, I don't have anybody. These people want me to do all of the work. I am doing all of the work. I mean, I have to pull teeth just to get these people to write a statement. Most of these people are afraid of the police in Colorado for good reason. And, Graham's not the only Christian who didn't keep his word, who didn't bother to think in his head that if you don't keep your word, you are completely screwing me over. I've invested my time and my energy in believing you. And when you don't keep your word, when there's a deadline, when you say that you're going to do something on Friday, And I have until Saturday to come up with the money to do that. And come Friday, you're letting me know that you don't have the money. I'm running around to every resource that I can trying to get that help, and it's not happening. Because you didn't keep your word. Just like Shelly didn't keep her word. Danica didn't keep her word. Now, I got a YouTube account, and it was destroyed because I spoke out against the ill treatment of myself and my friends. And a lot of those people aren't my friends anymore. It's because they wouldn't stop treating me like shit in texting. Stop making assumptions in texting. And not understanding that I can't explain all of this in texting. I type 10 words per minute. So I'm just getting frustrated because you won't talk to me. Then you say, well, why don't you talk to text? You're idiots. You're all a bunch of idiots. That's alright, I'm an idiot too. I'm dumb for believing that anybody would actually stop in their busy lives to give a shit about somebody who's not family. That's the problem that I have with Natalie's entire family. The same issue that I have with Graham. They didn't keep their word. They lied outright to me. They lied to the police. Graham didn't lie to the police. But he didn't exactly explain to them what was going on. What he should have done is said, hey, Sean's in there. He's overwhelmed. And he's got some people who are threatening him and fucking with his head. Instead, he gave them the impression that I don't know what's going on because I'm autistic. That doesn't make Graham a bad person. He went to court with me too. He didn't know what the hell was going on because he spent all of his time with Josh. Every time that Graham was going to help me out, Josh needed his attention. Josh is an alcoholic who doesn't care about anybody but himself. A lot like Alicia. These people don't want me speaking out against them. Well, they aren't going through the things that I've had to go through over things I didn't do. Being accused of being a stalker. Not being allowed to defend myself in court. So that gets to stand because I wasn't allowed to go. Police coordinated with the Bollingers not only to prevent me from going to court, but also to prevent me from having a copy of the protection order. So it doesn't exist. I wasn't allowed to go, and I will not comply with court orders that I am not allowed to defend myself in that courtroom. I'm not even allowed to go. Because I don't have the money for a lawyer, I have no rights. Because I have no roof over my head, I have no rights. What I needed was a safe place. Not a temporary placement where I have to be on pins and needles, because if I don't do what it is that these people want me to do, whether or not, they're not going to listen to it. They don't care. What Candace put me through because I jumped through her hoops. I jumped through her hoops. It wasn't my fault, alright, that Shelly pocket dialed me. It wasn't my fault that Officer Beard reacted the way that he did, which is to blow me off. It's not my fault that Officer Beard went and harassed her when she took her kids to school. It's not my fault that Officer Beard harassed her at work later that day. It's not my fault that her landlord threatened to kick her and her children out into the cold. I felt completely like shit for that. And then she went out of her way to treat me like shit over things that I had no control over. What was I supposed to do with Miss Shelley? She could have been beaten to death at that very moment. What was I supposed to do? Just let her get beaten to death? Fucking morons. You want me to talk nicely? I talked nicely. Nothing good came of it. At least when I stream, people stop and listen. Sure, they're not listening to what it is that I actually have to say. They're just looking for parts that they can send to the ball and just, look what we found, look what we found, look what we found. Fuck you. This is why assisted suicide should be legal, you fucking twits. Now you guys don't like the way that I speak out. Well, I spoke out nicely to begin with. I'll have you know I have over 40 interviews saved on my computer. Video interviews where I made phone calls to people. And I pressed that little button there so that I could record those phone calls. Because although I can't record it on my telephone, and I can't record it and make a phone call on my computer, I can make a phone call with my telephone and record it with my computer. I didn't choose for you people to do the things that you did. I didn't choose your complacency, and I didn't choose for Christians to be the most useless pieces of shit on the planet. I didn't choose that.